figures contained in the British Crime Survey report. Still, only 1 in 5 report sexual offences. 5 weeks ago, a 17-year-old girl was raped after leaving a disco in West London. She courageously decided to work with the Crimewatch team in making the film we're about to see, in the fervent hope that the man who attacked her may be caught and that other women can be prevented from suffering what happened to her. Our reconstruction concentrates on the dialogue between the girl and her attacker, in which he revealed a number of clues to his character and his identity. Police artists have produced this careful likeness of him from her detailed description of his face. The girl herself has taken part in the film in interview, but her voice and her appearance have been disguised. The actress who plays her part doesn't look like her at all. But you may remember seeing the man outside the Broadway Boulevard Disco in Ealing Broadway. It's the small hours of Saturday the 27th, Sunday the 28th of October. It's the night the clocks went back an hour. The new time is 3:30 a.m.
You haven't seen Martin or Ian, have you? Martin's supposed to be giving me a lift home.
No, you just missed him. They come down there. If you hurry, you catch him.
Thanks.
Why are you running? Are you okay?
Do you know where South Ealing is?
I haven't a clue.
Look, do you want to lift home?
No, thanks. I'm meeting some friends.
That's no problem, look.
It's full of strange men tonight. Look, I'm meeting some friends.
Do you mind if I walk with you? Like, whereabouts are you from?
I told you, I'm meeting my friends.
All right. Looks like you missed them. Hey, look, I live in Southall, you know, but, you know, I can give you a lift wherever you want to go.
Look, I don't live near you, thanks. I live in Harrow, but I'm staying at a friend's house.
He seemed really ordinary. I didn't feel threatened by him, probably because my mum and dad are Irish, and so is he. I didn't think that he was going to hurt me.
So are you in the Boulevard then tonight?
Yeah.
Hey, what's it like in there? You know, I've never been.
It's okay.
Look, here's my car here. You sure you don't want that lift?
No, I'm going to St. Albans.
Look, I told you right. It doesn't matter where you're going. I can take you anywhere. Here. Do you want a cigarette?
Thanks. John! John! John!
When he pulled me into his car, he didn't scream at me, and he wasn't vicious, so I didn't think that he was going to do anything. It worried me that I was in his car, but I just didn't dawn on me what was going to happen next. I thought I recognised one of my friends who was standing by the burger van, so I called his name, but it wasn't him. He didn't even turn round and look at me. I thought if I kept talking to him, then maybe he wouldn't do anything. I couldn't run anywhere and I had nowhere to go, so I had to keep talking to him.
You're not scared of me, are you?
No, I just want to get out and meet my friends.
Look, I'm not going to hurt you. Come on, I'm just holding your hand. Hey, you don't mind that now, do you? Look, if I tried to kiss you, you'd slap me, right?
Yeah, I just want to get out.
Right. You see, girls, normally when they hear my accent, they just walk away. Won't even talk to me.
Because you're Irish?
Yeah.
My uncle's from Coleraine in Londonderry.
All right.
Where are you from?
Me? I'm from a wee village, actually, about 20 miles outside Coleraine. you Irish? I suppose you must be with those freckles, eh?
Yeah, Tipperary.
Ah, lovely.
Ireland's really lovely. I'd like to live there.
You can say that again. I'll tell you, as soon as I finish my exams, I'm going straight back. Look, don't worry. Oh, come on. Hey, smile. That's it.
I noticed that he had a lot of country and Western Irish tapes in his car. There was a graphic equaliser on top of his radio, and he had an empty packet of cigarettes next to it. When I started getting really worried about being in his car, I started taking notice of the road signs to see where we were.
You like the old Irish country and Western, then?
Not much.
I listen to it all the time.
My mum does that.
All right. Hey, you know, I go to quite a few places where they play it live. See, don't mind me holding your hand now, do you?
Please let me out. I don't go that way. I want to go to St. Albans. Please let me out.
Look, I told you, right? Hey, don't worry.
It's then that he drove off down the slip road and attacked me. He told me that he'd done it before. He can still do it again, but he did it to me. So please, if anybody knows who he is, can they ring up Crimewatch and help?
Well, Bill Douglas, he told the girl he'd done this before. Do you have any evidence that he has committed this kind of crime before?
Well, we strongly suspect so. As a result of our inquiries, about a week after this offence occurred, we became aware of a young girl who lives in Greenford. She tells us the same story. She was collected by a man in a red Ford Cortina who was an Irishman. He drove around Greenford, which isn't too far away from Ealing, where this girl was abducted. Subsequently, she unfortunately was raped as well. She describes the man as having a moustache, the same as this offender. So we believe they are linked, yes.
So it's quite possible there could be other victims of this man too?
Well, it's a strong possibility. I've got to consider that.
The girl has been able to give you a detailed description, so if perhaps we can see the police artist's impression, you could run through his description for us.
Yes, this man's described as a white male. He's about 22 to 25 years of age. He speaks with a Northern Ireland accent. We've got him as slim to medium build. He certainly is of a confident nature. He has dark brown hair brushed back with a moustache.
Well, he may or may not have a moustache. Of course, we've got alongside him there a picture of him as he might look without the moustache. He is a student, he said.
During the journey, yes, he claims to be a student, and he also claims that he comes from the Coleraine area of Northern Ireland. The young girl who unfortunately was raped, she recognises the accent as being that of Londonderry in Northern Ireland.
She did actually make the point to us that the actor's accent and his looks bear a striking resemblance to this man.
Yes, she spent some time looking at this and she's confirmed those details, yes.
Yeah. We don't, of course, know whether he was living in Southall, but whether he made these details up.
That's right. That's a story that he's put forward, but at present that's the best lead we've got to go on.
He also had a very distinctive watch, the girl noticed.
Yes, on his left wrist he had a gold wristwatch with a square face which was black. She's noticed that. She's noticed the inside of the car. And these are all things that we're looking for to try and detect this offence and find this individual.
Right, if we can put all these clues together, we can perhaps find who
That's
he
right.
is. The car was a red Cortina Mark IV.
That's correct. Her parents have got, or did have, a red Cortina. It was a Mark IV, it was a GL. It was made between 1980 and 1982. It has a grey interior and the steering wheel has 4 spokes.
If anybody remembers seeing the man at the disco at that time, he was wearing jeans and an Aran sweater?
That's right. He had this white knitted Aran jumper on and the stonewashed jeans. Now, he would never have been allowed into the disco wearing those clothes, so he obviously wasn't there for that evening anyway.
So if anyone saw him or the car outside it or in that area, also it had a distinctive radio cassette equipment in it, didn't it?
Yes, we've looked at that. We've got a graphic equaliser incorporated with a radio, which is quite an expensive item. The graphic equaliser basically adjusts the tone of the music in the car.
Right, it's quite an unusual feature. He was a smoker of Benson & Hedges cigarettes. Is there anything else you'd like to add to this appeal?
Well, this man clearly listens to Irish country and Western music. We know that he claims to be a student. He lives in the Southall area. He has this red Cortina. We would like someone to come forward and tell us if they know of an individual like that.
Because, of course, we have to recognise it does take some courage for people to come forward to the police.
Very much so. The young girl who came forward was very brave. And anyone who comes and tells us these stories, we will listen to them and we will act accordingly. They can come forward with all confidence. There is no problem with us.
Well, Mr Douglas, thank you very much indeed. In fact, the Hertfordshire Force is known for the particular care and sensitivity with which they handle these cases, and some of the women officers who specialise in sexual assault cases there are actually here tonight in the studio to answer calls. So, if this man has attacked before, and if you've been a victim, ask to speak to one of these officers. The number here to the studio is 081 811 818.
Police officers reenact past events with the help of real witnesses and actors. The names and identities of the victims have been changed.
Got what I want. Now get out.
Over the last 5 years or so, the police and the legal system have evolved a much more sensitive and understanding approach to women who have suffered rape. And as a result, more people have had the courage and the confidence to report what's happened to them. Nevertheless, according to the latest Home Office figures contained in the British Crime Survey report, still only 1 in 5 women report sexual offences. A young woman who was raped in the early hours of Sunday the 28th of October 1990 after leaving a nightclub in Ealing did report the attack, and this film traces the course of the investigation carried out by Hertfordshire Police.
Stop, Hayes. It looks like a girl out there.
You sure? She could be anyone.
I said to Hazel, it looks like she'd been raped, thinking that what would a girl be doing at that time of night, on her own in the pouring rain, flagging down cars, unless she had been through something that was horrifying, like a rape.
You hear about people being flagged down under false pretences and then attacked, so I didn't particularly want to stop at first, but I mean, I hadn't actually seen her, but Bemi said she looked really distraught, so I pulled over.
Can you see her?
No, but there's someone else stopping.
Hi, sorry, tell me, did you see a girl back there?
Yeah, we did.
Was she anything to do with you?
No, that's why we've stopped.
Should we perhaps get out and take a look, see how she is?
Yeah. Happened? Please don't hurt me.
It's okay, he's with us. It won't hurt you.
Give him a jacket.
What's your name? When she saw Steve, she was really frightened, presumably because he was male, until Bemi said to her that he was with us, and then she seemed to accept him better. But she was in a really bad way.
And then he just stopped the car. And I just struggled, I just tried so hard, and he just kept grabbing my throat all the time, trying to strangle me, grabbing me. And I had my necklace on and I didn't want him to break it.
Yeah, it's Charlie 2, Yankee 2 for urgent circulation.
from M25 westbound, junction 19. A Ford Cortina, colour red. One occupant, male, IC1, moustache, Northern Irish accent. Circulation police, Metpole, Thames Valley.
383, obviously.
At the hospital, Sarah was examined by a female doctor. She was then interviewed by Detective Constable Joe West, who's specially trained to deal with victims of sex offences.
I know you must be really tired by now, and it's not going to be easy to talk to me, but I need to know exactly what's happened to you this evening before we can let you go home. Had you been anywhere else before you went to the nightclub? I'd been out to a party with some friends. Then I went on to a nightclub. I met some other friends from work there. And the man that attacked you, was he at the nightclub or the party? Did you know him at all? Did you ever met him before? I don't know him. The first time that I saw him was when I came out of the club. It was closing. I was meant to be getting a lift home with some friends. But it was closing and I couldn't find him anywhere.
Have you seen Ian or Alan anywhere? They were supposed to give me a lift home.
They drove off just down there. If you run, you'll catch them.
Do you want me to give you a lift home?
No thanks, I'm waiting for friends.
That's no problem.
Look, I'm waiting for friends.
Would you mind if I walk with you? Hey, where do you live then?
Look, I'm meeting friends.
It looks like you missed them. Look, I live in Southall. I can give you a lift wherever you want. I mean, where do you live?
I don't live near you, I live in Harrow. I'm staying with friends.
All right. Look, here's my car here. You sure you don't want that lift?
Look, I'm going to St Albans.
Look, I've told you, it doesn't matter. I'll take you wherever you want to go. Look, do you want a cigarette? Come on.
Let me go!
I wasn't really scared of him at first. I didn't want to be in his car. But I didn't think that he was going to do what he actually did to me.
Look, you're not scared of me, are you? Like I told you, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just holding your hand now. You don't mind that, do you? If I tried to kiss you, you'd slap me, right?
Yeah. Please, I want to get out.
See, women, they hear my accent, they won't even talk to me. Just walk away.
Why, because you're Irish?
Yeah.
I thought he wouldn't do anything if I kept him talking, and if I pretended that I was friends with him, that he wouldn't get angry with me and he'd let me go.
My uncle's from Coleraine in Londonderry. Where are you from?
Me? I'm from a village about 20 miles from Coleraine. You Irish?
Yeah, from Tipperary. Ireland's really nice.
Nah, you can say that again. I tell you, as soon as I finish my exams, I'm going straight back there. Now, come on. Don't worry. Come on. Smile.
When we were driving along, I was nervous about being in his car. And I saw things like the radio was different to most cars. It wasn't up in the dashboard, it was down low. And I just noticed things like the seats and the cigarettes he smoked and what sort of music he was playing in the car.
You like the old Irish country and western then?
Not much.
I listen to it all the time. There's quite a few places where you can go and see it live. Hey,
Easy. Don't mind me holding your hand now, do you?
I want to go to St Albans. Please let me out.
Look, I told you. Don't worry. I'm not going to hurt you.
But less than half an hour later, on a slip road of the M25, he held Sarah down by her throat and raped her in the car. Then he pushed her out and left her there.
Before it happened, I'd always said that I wouldn't come forward, that I'd go home and I wouldn't tell anyone. But where I was left, I had no choice but to tell someone.
Hello, Falls of Dagenham. Yes, good morning to you. I'm DS Adams.
Yeah, she was at Ealing Broadway, the nightclub there on Saturday night. But she was with a group of your employees. It's basically your office staff we need to speak to. They spent some while with her that night. But after she left the nightclub, the incident room was based at Watford. This is where the offence had been committed. But we knew most of our inquiries would be in West London, as Sarah had been picked up in Ealing, and the offender had claimed that he lived in Southall. Of course, he could have been lying, but the most important thing was our inquiries were to start in West London.
Yes, on an unattended vehicle, Lammas Park Gardens, West 5.
We asked the Metropolitan Police for their help in locating the red Ford Cortina. The uniform officers conducted a street search in and around Southall and Ealing, but unfortunately they failed to locate the offender's car.
Well, the bloke had a Londonderry accent. He said he came from near Coleraine, so he might already be in your system. Yeah, he said he's done this thing before. Yeah, white male, early 20s.
He's early 20s, short black hair with small black moustache. We know he drives a red Cortina, but we're unsure of the model at this stage.
Now, we've got to a certain stage now. I've got a fairly round face here. Would you say it should be longer at all?
No, he had a very round face and a square chin.
And a square chin. Now, are we anywhere near the sort of shape there? I'm going to put his eyes about there. That's the sort of position I'm planning. Big, little?
Small.
Smallish?
And thick, dark eyebrows.
And thick eyebrows. Yeah. Good. Do you think they should be stronger still? I started off back in 1966. In the first 2 or 3 I did, I'm very fortunate I hit the target on the bullseye with in those days, Tommy Steele had a manager, I can't remember his name now, but he got murdered on Hungerford Bridge. And they got a villain for it, and I was very delighted. I went to the case, went to the Old Bailey, and it was spot on, and that I felt rather pleased with.
Had a moustache just above the mouth.
A moustache? Big one, fairly black?
Yeah, dark, like his head.
I always try and do it within 2 hours. I hope within 1. You don't want to make the witness tired. And also, there's another side to this also. You may spoil what you've got. One has to play it by ear, as they say here, because it depends on the case, it depends on the sort of person that comes. They may be a very extrovert, and then with those you can be slightly jokey sometimes, and that helps. But the rape cases are slightly more difficult. Maybe it's happened the day before. Sometimes, sadly, they burst into tears or something. And I feel rather... I've had 2 reactions there, of course, because one is I must be getting near. And the other, of course, is to see the sadness of the case.
How about this one? Is that anything like it? No, that's a Sierra. Look, I know the one I'm looking for. It's a Cortina Saloon, just like my dad's. And the seats are definitely cloth. They're not leather.
Is there anything here that's like it?
No, nothing.
Don't worry, there's plenty more places to try. How about this one, Sarah?
This is like it. The steering wheel had 4 spokes, and the dashboard was higher on the driver's side. And his car had a radio at the bottom like this one. And a console.
What about the seats?
Yeah, cloth like this one. I'm pretty sure this is it. It's like it.
We made some inquiries to the Police National Computer, and although the car was not the offender's car, we now knew we were looking for a red Ford Cortina Mark V. We thought this was going to narrow our field of inquiry down, but unfortunately, PNC could only provide us with details of all red Cortinas Marks 3 to 5. And as a result of this, we had over 5,000 vehicles to check just in the West London area.
Sarah was very much involved with the investigations. A week after the attack, the police took her back to Ealing Broadway. Perhaps the man would show up again.
OK then, Sarah, I want you to have a good look out the window. If you see anybody who looks familiar, just point them out to us.
I didn't mind going back there, but when I got there, I think I was hoping that he didn't come back, because I don't know what I would have done if I'd have seen him.
Excuse me, please. I'm a police officer from Watford. We're investigating the rape of a young girl that was taken from outside this club last Saturday. Were you here last Saturday?
Yes, I was.
I wonder if you could have a read of that.
Evening. I don't know whether you can help me. I'm from Watford Police. We're investigating an offence where a young girl was abducted in this street last week and was taken to Watford where she was raped. We believe the offender may have been operating as an unlicensed taxi cab in this area.
What's that, Sarah? Have you seen someone?
There is someone.
I'm not sure. Have a good long look.
I'm sorry, it's not him.
Don't worry.
We put up posters in pubs and clubs in and around the West London area.
Hello? It's about the M25 rapist. Yep, I think I know him. He used to work in Hornsey. That's it. He's a bit of a ladies' man.
Ringing about the geezer on a poster. He used to be a regular here. His name's Pete McIver.
It was then an article in a local newspaper that was to change the whole dimension of this inquiry.
Hello, Wendy. You look a bit down in the dumps today. Is anything wrong?
Well, I need to speak to you. Privately. It's really important.
All right. Look, come on. Let's go and sit down.
You see, last May, I was raped. And I'm sure it was the same man that raped this girl.
Well, how do you know it was the same man?
Just do. The newspaper describes him and his car exactly. He said he'd kill me if I told anyone. And then the next day, he sat outside my house. I was really frightened.
Wendy, did you report it to the police? Well, what do you want to do now? Shall I call the police?
I don't know. It was such a long time ago. What if they don't believe me?
They'll understand why you didn't come forward before. I really think you should report it.
We started with one victim, and now we had another girl come forward. There were half a dozen points that suggested to us that the same man was responsible for both offences. We wondered, were there any other victims, and were we now looking for a serial rapist?
Towards the end of May 1990, Wendy had been at a party in Greenford in West London. She'd become involved in an argument with some other girls when a car drew up.
Do you want a cab?
Yeah, okay.
Well, I thought he was a taxi, and I thought it would be safer to get into a cab rather than walk 5 minutes to my house where I live around the corner.
Don't you have a radio? Or a meter?
You'd better get in the front.
It's all right, I can walk from here.
Come on, get in.
I only live round the corner, I can walk from here.
Look, I said I'd give you a lift home. Get in the car.
I don't need a lift home, I live round the corner, I can walk.
Don't, just get in.
He sort of grabbed hold of me, sort of bundled me into the front seat, and was still holding on to me as he climbed over me, so I couldn't get away from him. He sort of had me pinned down.
there a park or anything around here where we can go and make love? Like, I'm not going to hurt you. Just want to be close to someone.
Please, I just want to go home.
I'll take you home. Later.
Help me, please! Help!
I'm gonna kill you, you bitch!
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please don't hurt me. I just want to go home.
Bitch!
He took me to a dark woodland sort of area not far from where I live. I begged of him at the time that I just wanted to go home. I thought, well, if you're going to force and take my body, you're not going to touch my mind. So I sort of took my mind out of my body, pretended it wasn't happening. Afterwards, I didn't know whether I was going home or whether he was going to take me somewhere else or what he was going to do. One minute he was all terrifying and frightened the living daylights out of me, and the next minute he's like trying to be all sort of nice.
This girl I was living with in Ireland went off my best friend. Hey, maybe you and me could live together. I live in Sudbury Hill now, but I'm getting a place near Southall. We could live together there.
I just want to go home. What's your job?
I'm a bus driver. Drive those little E5 buses. Hey, but if you ever get on a bus with someone and you tell them about me, just you remember, I know how to make Semtex bombs. I'll blow you and your family up.
I won't say anything, I promise. I won't say anything.
I feel as though it was my fault that the other girl got attacked, because if I'd have come forward when it happened to me, with the information that I knew, that perhaps he would have got caught before he'd done that attack.
Wendy's information was really interesting. It provided us with a fresh line of inquiry, and that was at the bus garage.
Come in. Morning, David Brown. How you doing? Hi, Pete Cody. Thanks for seeing us. As per our conversation this morning, that's the bloke we're after. White male, Northern Ireland accent. Could possibly have been a bus driver here.
I've got 500 staff working at the garage. Quite a few are Irish, in fact. Doesn't look familiar.
It's possible that he doesn't work here, of course, because we're going back to May this year.
A couple of Irish drivers caused us a few problems back in May. I'll just check the records.
OK, cheers.
Hello, Pete. How'd you get on that bus garage?
Not bad, not bad. Dave Brown down there, the manager's given us two names to go on with, John O'Connor and a Colin Kelly.
When those names were checked out, it was found that both men had moved, leaving no forwarding addresses. So it was going to take some time to trace them.
What has happened, Bill, is I've taken a telephone call a little while back from a bloke who reckons he knows who this offender is. Peter McIver.
Yeah, McIver is in the system, but I've got no address for him.
Yeah, I've arranged to meet this chap down at Ealing this morning, so I'm going to shoot off on a train.
OK, fine. Take care.
Fine, but I'm not getting involved. I'm not making any statements. But if this guy is a rapist, well, I want to get him caught too.
OK, look, that's no problem. But tell me, does it look like this?
Yeah, that's him. As soon as me and my mate saw the poster, we knew it was him. His name's Pete McIver. He's a carpenter. He drinks in the Red Lion in Greenford and a load of other Irish clubs.
Yeah, what about his car? What sort of car does he drive?
Red Cortina, like it says in the poster. But I haven't seen him around for a while. Look, let me do a bit of digging, see if I can't come up with an address. Stay away from the Red Line for now, all right?
Why's that? Is he a mate of yours?
No, he just drinks in the same pubs. But I've got to go.
All right, look, give us a ring tomorrow.
All right.
OK, then.
Cheers.
The next day, McIver's name came up again. He was known to the RUC as a petty criminal, and he certainly fitted the description of our man. What I found exceptional was that his name had been mentioned by 3 separate sources in such a brief period of time. We were now 2 weeks into the inquiry, and Peter McIver became our prime suspect. Our informant was unable to come up with McIver's home address, so we kept observations on the Red Lion pub.
My role in the surveillance was to be plotted up inside the Red Lion public house with a woman officer.
It's taking forever. Has he met anybody yet?
I was a contact for Jim, who was our informant on this occasion. He's still with his mates up at the table.
Jody bills, no change. No change.
Where is he? You said he'd be here by now.
I don't know. Nobody's seen him. Look, I know somewhere else he drinks. We could try there.
Well, look, we'll give it another half hour here, and then we'll give that a whirl. All right? After 2 nights when MacIver failed to show, we had to call it quits on the surveillance, but Jim had obtained a telephone contact number for MacIver, and so we took it from there.
There's a woman coming out. Let's go.
Excuse me, do you live here?
Yeah, I own the house. Why?
I'm Sergeant Douglas from Watford CID. We're trying to speak to Peter MacIver. Does he live at this address?
Yes, he does. What's all this about?
Well, we'd just like to ask him some questions. Is he here at present?
I don't think so. Haven't seen him for a while. Don't know where he is. Last time I saw him was about a week ago.
And are you expecting him back?
Yes, but I just don't know when.
Well, I must explain to you that we have a search warrant for these premises in relation to a serious offence that occurred at Watford on the 28th of October. We now propose to search your premises.
You better come in then.
It was to our surprise that 2 days later he appeared at the police station with his solicitor, quite prepared to be interviewed.
I'm going to describe you. You're obviously a white male. You've got a Northern Ireland accent.
It's a southern accent.
Southern accent, I apologise for that.
Yeah, I'm from Dublin myself. I've lived there for 20-odd years.
Right, OK. You've also got what appears to be a couple of days' growth of beard and moustache. Tell me, do you normally have a moustache?
No. I had one about 2 years ago, but my girlfriend didn't like it, so I shaved it off.
Shaved it off.
A question rose in my mind about MacIver being the offender for the simple reason he spoke with a Dublin accent. Both girls said he came from Northern Ireland. They had 2 totally different accents.
So, have you got a motor? No. I never had one. Never owned one. I can't drive.
Have you ever had driving lessons?
Yeah. I've had driving lessons and I had a test to take in June or July this year, but I never bothered going.
So it's fair to say that you can drive, but you don't have a car?
Well, I'm not qualified to drive.
But you can drive.
Well, I don't know. Haven't passed my test.
But you've been driving. You have had lessons. You know how a car works.
I suppose so, yeah. You could say that.
Have you ever driven a car illegally? Perhaps somebody's seen you driving along the road? Have you got a problem with that one?
I have. Well, I've driven my friend's car, but he was in it. But I haven't got a car. We never owned one.
He was a pretty genuine sort of guy. He was okay with this. There was obviously some things he didn't want to say. Perhaps for personal reasons, I don't know. But when he spoke about his whereabouts on the date and that sort of thing, he came across... He had a solicitor with him, but he was quite prepared to talk to us. You got the impression straight off he had nothing to hide.
Having pinned so much on MacIver and being the offender, we were disappointed when he clearly wasn't the man we were looking for, and so we had to go back to square one. Martin, Joe, I know it's a bugbear, but let's go back to these red Cortinas. It was at this time we held our monthly review into the case. We had to decide, did we have any viable lines of inquiry, and could we justify the cost of continuing the investigation?
I think you better have a look at this letter that's come in the post, Bill.
Then we received an anonymous letter claiming the offender was a bus driver. This confirmed what Wendy had told us. Not only had her attacker said he was a bus driver, but shortly after the attack, she had actually seen him driving a bus near where she lived. As there was such a strong indication that the offender might have been a bus driver, we went back to the bus garage and made further inquiries.
The details that you gave us last time, we're still doing some inquiries on that, but so far we've been unable to trace those two drivers. What I'm going to ask for are the details of all the drivers, the Irish drivers that were working from this depot in May this year. What's the chances of that?
Well, as I've said, we've got a lot of Irish staff working here. It'll take some effort looking through all the schedules, seeing who's left and who's still employed by us, but it can be done, that's not a problem. And when it is done, I'll get back to you.
Great.
Before the bus garage was able to get back to us, we were offered the opportunity by Crimewatch to make a reconstruction of the assault on Sarah. He lives in the Southall area. He has this red Cortina. We would like someone to come forward and tell us if they know of an individual like that.
Of course, we have to recognise it does take some courage for people to come forward to the police.
Very much so. The young girl who came forward was very brave.
In fact, the Hertfordshire force is known for the particular care and sensitivity with which they handle these cases, and some of the women officers who specialise in sexual assault cases there are actually here tonight in the studio to answer calls. The number here to the studio is 081 811 8181. Or the direct line to the Watford police station is this, 092...
I'll just get that call. Incident room, can I help you? Yes, that's right. Do you think you know who the man is?
I'd taken a couple of calls earlier on, which purely related to a vehicle that somebody had seen, which could have been any vehicle.
The details of the person who you think it is?
But this particular description of the vehicle, coupled with the description of the man, and the circumstances in which the vehicle had been left in the location that it was, gave me quite a clear indication that this was a genuine call and a very important call in relation to the inquiry.
I've just had a call from the governor. He wants some big emergency.
Okay, I'll speak to him now.
Incident room, can I help you?
Hello, Governor. What have you got for us?
I've had a very interesting call from a lady who lives in a place called Eccles in Kent. She says that she thinks she knows who this person is. She's seen him down there very recently, and he's left a red Mark IV Cortina on a nearby driveway, and he fits the description. Now, she's given me the index number of the car. I've done a registered owner check, and it comes down to a man called Colin Kelly with an address in Slough.
There is a Kelly in the system, I'm sure.
Hang on, I'll look in the cards. Yeah, there is a card on him. He looks as though he's a bus driver at a bus stop.
I think we might have the vehicle. It's down to somewhere called Eccles. It's a little village near Maidstone, and we need to send someone down there to recover it as soon as possible.
I know Eccles. It's just outside the town that I police. Why don't you let me get hold of some officers down there to go and check it out? It might save you a wasted journey.
Police officers from Kent interviewed the man looking after the car. He told them where Colin Kelly lived, and that was an address in Southall.
As they left the BBC that night and headed for Southall, Bill and his team were convinced this was the turning point in the inquiry, that at last they had the breakthrough they were looking for.
I reckon this sounds good. I think we're going to have our man tonight, if he hasn't watched the programme.
Yeah, I never believed for one minute when we came down here this is the sort of result we were going to get, you know.
Yeah, we just got to hope that he hasn't had it off on his toes.
When we arrived there, the house was in complete darkness. Myself and the team were obviously bitterly disappointed. Our great fear was that in fact he had fled, and at that stage may well be beyond our reach. The landlord, who happened to live next door, explained that Kelly had gone to Ireland to attend a funeral, and he'd taken the entire family with him, but had left some days earlier. On the Friday after the Crimewatch programme, myself and the rest of the team had searched the house that Kelly resided at.
C. Kelly, for a Ford Cortina 1600.
This looks like a jumper rollie. I think we'll have that.
Joe, here's the Irish tapes.
There was no sign of him on Saturday or Sunday, and on Monday we all went back to the incident room and continued to work there in an effort to trace Kelly.
Yes, basically we found one of your cards at a house in Southall. Family's name's Kelly. Could you please confirm whether or not you took a family by that name to Heathrow Airport, perhaps on the 5th or 6th of December?
Yes, he flew out on the Wednesday just gone, and I'm trying to establish if he's on one of the flights back within the next few days.
And then, like a bolt out of the blue, Kelly was on the telephone telling me that he was at home and wanted to know what was going on. Hello, Mr. Kelly. Thank you for calling us. You at home at present? Well, don't go away. Just wait there until we arrive, and we'll tell you what this is all about.
How long are you going to be?
Well, we'll leave now, Mr. Kelly. OK. Cheerio. Bye-bye. That's Colin Kelly. Let's go and get him. Colin Kelly. I'm Detective Sergeant Douglas from Watford, and these are my colleagues. May we come in to speak to you?
Yeah, of course.
Is that your wife through there?
Yeah.
Colin Kelly, I'm DS Adams and this is DT 30. We're from Watford Central Police Station.
Can I get you a cup of tea?
No, not for me, mate. I'm here to arrest you on suspicion of abduction and rape on October 28th, 1990. You're not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so, but what you say may be given in evidence. Do you understand the caution?
I didn't do this. I never did any rape.
Right, well, we'll discuss the matter further at Watford Police Station, OK?
Would you mind if I finish with tea?
Well, if you're quick.
On the way back to the police station, he talked almost until the cows came home. He would talk about Ireland, the weather, the funeral that he had attended in Ireland. He'd just talk about anything.
Weather. Weather was like you'd expect for a funeral, you know, cold and wet. You know, I helped carry my grandfather's coffin, lowered it into the grave. Quite close, you know.
When we passed by the scene on the N25 on the way back to the police station, I made a point of looking in the rearview mirror for an expression on his face, but I didn't get one. He was just looking out the side window, and it was one of the few times that he actually kept quiet on the journey.
By the time police began to interview Kelly, he'd had a meeting with his solicitor.
Do you understand the offences for which you've been arrested?
No comment.
Well, it's rape and abduction. They're both very serious matters. Do you appreciate that?
Yeah.
Well, look, if an innocent party was sitting on the other side of the table, they wouldn't want to be connected with a rape. They'd only be too anxious to tell us where they were on the night. You're making no attempt to explain your whereabouts. Are you guilty of that rape?
No comment.
Once we got him back to the police station, he made no comment to all the questions put to him. When we compared this with how talkative he had been in the car on the way back, it just made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I felt that if he had nothing to hide, as with MacIver, he would have answered our questions.
Do you consent to us taking certain samples from you for forensic testing?
I don't mind.
So you are consenting?
Yeah,
Right, well, to put it bluntly, that's either going to put your head on the block or not. You might as well talk to us about your movements, and that may even eliminate you from our inquiries.
I've no comment.
I was really surprised when he agreed to give samples. It must have been discussed between him and his solicitor as to what they would say when we asked the question, because it's all part and parcel of a rape inquiry. He hadn't admitted to anything at this stage, and by offering samples, it was just another indication that his eventual defence would be consent, because those samples would clearly put him at the scene with that girl in his car.
The most common defence in rape cases is that the victim consented to sexual intercourse, and it's the most difficult one to disprove. Sergeant Adams and Constable Thody were on the point of going home for the night. Then a message came up from the cells. Kelly wanted to talk.
It's all yours.
Colin, I understand you want to have a word with us.
Yeah, I just want to tell you exactly what happened.
OK, we'll get your solicitor on the phone then, and then we'll have an interview.
No, I don't need a solicitor, just used to.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm just used to.
Well, the one in May, I was on the beer in a pub one night and I was invited to a party. When I arrived at the party, there were these people fighting outside, and one of them says to me, look, you know, take her, take her away from here before she gets hurt. So she got into my car, and I asked her what was going on, and she said she was having a ruck with some bloke, and she asked me, why was it that men always wanted to use women for the one thing only. I tried to explain to her that, not all men were like that. I could be different, and so I asked her, did she want to make love? Because I'd been having some problems at home, and she said okay. So before I dropped her off home, we had sexual intercourse.
Well, once Kelly started talking to us, he alleged that both girls had consented to having sexual intercourse because the sexual intercourse had taken place within an hour of meeting the two girls on two separate occasions. I found this part of his story totally unbelievable.
If I had petrol in my car, or if I had the money to get the petrol, I'd gladly give anyone a lift.
So what you're saying is you wouldn't see a girl stranded on the M25?
No, I wouldn't see a lad stranded.
But having got onto the hard shoulder of the M25, miles from anywhere, in the pitch black, you're quite happy to drive off and leave this girl?
Well, see, I didn't want to.
Yeah, but you could have stayed at the bottom of the road and made sure she was safe. You could have just stayed there and chatted with her.
Yeah, like common, granted, but it was when she started to get, when I says to her, look, I'll run you home now. She says, no, it's all right, I'll walk. I don't know what emotions a girl goes through when she's pregnant or when she gets raped. I don't know what emotions a girl goes through.
When did you shave off your moustache?
I shaved that off. It must have been the day of my wife's sister's birthday.
Which date was that?
It was the 28th of October or November.
Oh, which one?
October, yeah.
So you picked the girl up then in the early hours of the 28th in Ealing, and that same evening you've shaved your moustache off?
Well, if that was the date of my wife's sister's birthday, yeah.
Colin Kelly, there are two charges against you. The first is that you did on the 28th of October 1990 at Watford had unlawful sexual intercourse with Sarah Sanders without her consent. That is contrary to section 1.1 of the Sexual Offences Act of 1956. You do not have to say anything unless you wish to do so, but whatever you say may be given in evidence. Is there anything you want to say to that charge?
I didn't do it.
The second charge is that you did between the 1st of May...
In prison, awaiting trial, Kelly at first told everyone he was in for armed robbery. But then he began to brag to his cellmate about the real reason he was there.
Now, I had a bit of a ruck with my wife, so just went out in the car hunting for a bit of skirt. And I was standing outside the Broadway Boulevard, and this girl came out. So, I chatted her up, and then just pulled her into my car.
Appalled by what he was being told, the cellmate asked to speak to the police.
He said that when she realised they were on the M25, she started to panic. So he's pulled over at the side and put his hands around her throat to stop her from screaming. Then he raped her. Afterwards, he just pushed her out and left her there.
What about the other girl? What did he say about her?
Well, he said he'd been out in a beer, and then he picked up this young girl. She'd just come out of a party or something. At first, she thought he was a minicab. Then she got scared, wouldn't get in the motor. So he shoved her in and drove off fast to some golf course, he said. And that's where he raped her.
Then what did he do?
Then he took her home. And the next day, he went back to her place and stayed outside in his motor. I said to him, "What the hell did you do that for?" And he said he wanted to see her again. He reckoned he waited there 3 hours. Of course, she never turned up.
My impression of Oberstein was that he was pretty genuine. There were things that he was telling us that only Colin Kelly could have told him. And so as far as I was concerned, he was telling me the truth, and he was offered no incentive to give that information, and was not given any. In fact, he's in prison at the moment.
A few weeks later, a second prisoner told us that Kelly had been talking about the rapes. Both prisoners were prepared to go to court and give evidence on what appeared to be a confession from Kelly. There were such striking similarities between the two offences that we felt that Kelly should be tried for both at the same time. Unfortunately, the law prevented that. So Sarah's case was to be heard first. We knew that it was going to be Sarah's word against Kelly's, as there was very little independent evidence.
This is where you'll be giving your evidence from. There'll be a screen up in front so Kelly won't be able to see you. The judge will be sitting in the chair up the top.
I was really, really nervous about going to court. Before the actual trial, I went round an empty courtroom and was just told where everybody sat. And then I went and saw parts of another trial that was going on, so I knew what kind of questioning and everything. And it helped that I knew the court. It did frighten me in a way because I saw how you could be questioned, but I think it made it better for me when I had to go to court because I knew what was going to happen and where everyone was going to be.
And Kelly himself will be over in the dock.
In April 1991, Colin Kelly was tried for the abduction and rape of Sarah. The trial lasted 5 days, and after several hours of deliberation, the jury found Kelly not guilty of abduction and were unable to reach a verdict at all on the rape charge. There would have to be a retrial.
I felt really confused. I couldn't believe that they wouldn't find him guilty because I knew he was. I knew what he'd done to me. And it was just really unfair that he never even got questioned in court. And I had to stand up and say lots of things about my own life and that he didn't get found guilty.
We were bitterly disappointed and felt very sorry for Sarah. She'd been through quite an ordeal. Now a retrial had been ordered. She would have to go through it all over again.
The date for the retrial was set for the 5th of August. Then at the end of June came a stroke of luck. An article in the Times came to the attention of the prosecuting barrister, Richard Benson. As a result of another case, the House of Lords had made a ruling that if the evidence of one victim was strong enough to support the evidence of a second victim, then the evidence of both victims could be heard together at the same trial.
As a result of that ruling, the trial judge at St Albans Crown Court agreed that both indictments should be joined together for the retrial.
In August 1991, Colin Kelly was tried at St Albans Crown Court. He was found guilty of both rapes. He's now serving 7 years in jail.
I think if the police hadn't have believed me, or if I thought they didn't believe me or they made me do things I didn't want to do, then I wouldn't have gone through with it. I think that's what really makes you want to go to the police and tell them. It was because they convinced me that I hadn't done anything wrong And no matter what had happened, it was him that was in the wrong and not me.
Okay, everybody in. 400-meter warm-up, then hard number 1 set. Now, I want you to remember everything I've told you. Efficiency, feel, reach. Off you go.
Paul Hickson was one of the top coaches in the country. He was an Olympic coach. We couldn't believe it when we heard that he'd come to Swansea.
Yeah, very good, Jill. Very good indeed. Now, I want you to train with the Great Britain swimmers. So we'll see how we get on from there, okay? Very good.
My daughter was in another swimming club, but when we heard that he had come to Swansea, she couldn't wait to get down there and to be coached by him.
Hard main set now, give it a try. Come on.
It was really a dream come true, I suppose, for the club, for the city of Swansea, for the area.
Jill, that's you. You won that race.
Yeah. In first place, with a time of 25:03, Jill Davis of the city of Swansea.
We all have our bad days, Kathy. You'll get over it. It's not that she's worried about. It's the journey home. What do you mean, the journey home? You'll be okay, Kathy. Just don't sit in the front seat.
Come on, Kathy. Room for one in the front. All swimming stars have relationships with their coaches, Kathy. It helps develop their careers.
If I get to the top, it'll be on my tab, not anything else.
We're getting near to Swansea. We could go to the fitness centre. There won't be anybody there.
I just want to go home.
Kathy, you swam badly today. You need to be punished.
No!
Kathy, you do what I say.
Just take me home, please.
By 1992, Paul Hickson was coaching at Millfield Public School in Somerset.
2, 3, 4. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Andrea. Happy birthday to you.
So, how's things going at Millfield?
She's
Still having trouble there?
It doesn't seem to be working out.
So what will you do?
We don't know whether to keep her there or not. She's not really getting on with Paul Hickson, and she's not enjoying it.
Hickson's a pervert. He's a dirty old man. He touches up all the girls, Sophie, Kathy, Lisa, and the others.
What the hell was that all about? We've been in such a quandary over what to do. The first we heard was when she got back from a trip to France with Hickson. Mary and I have been trying to drag out of her just what was going on.
Well, you've got a problem now. You know I've got to say something.
Roger.
Mike. I have to report it. I'm a police officer. I can't ignore what Sally just said.
But can you do it without hurting the girls? We're so worried. It's his word against theirs.
Liz, come on, we're going home.
Lynn?
I felt absolutely devastated. I mean, it's a dreadful thing. I think it's just about a parent's worst nightmare. I've had experiences with this sort of offence. I knew that the first things that is said are usually the tip of the iceberg. I couldn't believe that anyone could have done that, especially two of these dedicated people. And especially, I was worried about my own daughter, who had been a swimmer with Hickson.
Look, Roger, these people are our friends. Do you realise the effect an investigation could have?
Lynn, I don't understand.
Look, Paul Hickson's not training the Swansea team anymore. He's been at Millfield for the past year.
But he's the one who pushed Sally to go there.
Yeah, because she's the best in Wales.
I can't leave this, Lynn.
Look, the girls are all friends. They're in the same elite squad. Surely one of them would have said something by now.
You've taken Liz to training. Have you noticed anything?
No. Anyway, Sally was talking about the fitness test the older girls do at university. Liz isn't in the same age group.
So he's not touched her?
No, I've talked to her about it.
Thank God.
Oh, Roger, come in. We've been through your report, Roger, and what we've decided is this. Gaynor and I will speak to the three girls named by Sally Howells. Gaynor has a lot of experience in this type of case. She'll see the girls alone, and I'll talk to the parents. It'll be very low-key.
I'd appreciate that. I'm really worried about the effect on the girls and Sally.
But if what Sally says is true, then the case will go to Brian at Cockett CID.
Yeah, if what Sally says is true, you could be looking at organised abuse.
Or a close-knit group of girls who are making it all up.
How young are these girls? Well, they're all teenagers. Hickson told them they could all be champions. I suppose that we thought he'd make our daughters famous.
Let's hope that's all he was doing.
I was away at Crystal Palace with my daughter who was competing in a major British competition. Paul Hickson was there as coach of the Millfield squad. My wife rang and said that she'd heard some information from a parent concerning Paul Hickson and indecency against young girls. And that was a great shock to us. I don't know what I would have done if I'd have met Paul Hickson again after that. I don't think I would have been responsible for my actions.
In 1991, I started to keep a diary. It's all in there. Everything.
He tried it on, but I stopped him. He was embarrassed.
That meant he suggested things and tried to touch me. But I always pushed him away.
But you never told anyone?
No. We did try to tell someone once. It was a Friday evening and we'd been to the Chippy. One of us had had a fitness test in the morning, and so we had to speak to someone. We went to the phone box outside the pool to ring Childline.
You do it. No, it's your idea. You do it.
It's a recorded message.
Why didn't you tell your parents?
I couldn't. I hated Hickson for what he was doing to me. But who was going to believe me?
This man was God to them. He held the key to their future swimming hopes and ambitions. He made it clear to them that under his direction they could be international and Olympic swimmers. I was quite confident to allow my daughter to travel with him away. There was never any question in my mind or my wife's mind that he wasn't 100% genuine character.
Dad.
Come on, Lev. You know he doesn't like to be kept waiting. Go on.
She did change. She used to dress mostly in black and talk a little bit about death and suicide. I mean, we just assumed it was a normal teenage thing. And I suppose, really, we should have twigged then something was up.
I don't think it would be a good idea if you told anybody, Sophie, or I may not be able to pay attention to your swimming.
Okay. Hard main, number 1 set. Concentrate on your breathing.
I was one of the youngest to join the squad. In the early days, there was only a few swimmers who'd reached the national level.
Can you tell me about the fitness tests?
You didn't do them until you were 14. And only then if you'd been singled out to train at the university.
Go on.
The first couple of tests were okay, but it was about the third when things were different.
Right then, let's get started. Okay. Now stop. The readings aren't coming through properly. You're gonna have to take your top off. The heart rate monitor won't give the correct readings. It's all right. It's not me. It's the machine.
He wanted to have sex with me, but I wouldn't let him. It was the most horrible experience of my life. I didn't shout or scream or even cry. I just got into the pool.
And how did Hickson behave afterwards?
Carried on as if nothing had happened.
And that fitness test probably upsets me more than all the rest of them, because that was under my instigation that she went back into the squad. And that's the one that really hurts. I do feel a lot of guilt that she had to go through that, because most kids do it to please their parents anyway, whether it's a swimming or schoolwork or whatever it is. And also the fact that she couldn't say anything to us is quite upsetting.
A cup of tea, love, please. How much is that?
15 pence, please.
Thank you. Ah, Brian.
Hi, John.
I think it's clear the girl Sally Howells was telling the truth. It's beginning to look very serious.
So they come back to CID then?
Oh, no doubt about it.
How many complaints have we got so far?
5. But the way it's going, there could be a lot more.
And it's just indecent assault?
Yes. You'll get the statements tomorrow.
So who are you seeing next?
One more girl, then it's over to you.
Brian, can I see you over there, please?
All right. Let's just keep in touch.
Right.
As far as Paul Hickson is concerned, there were no clues as such. His behaviour at the poolside was more than appropriate. There was no suggestion that anything untoward was going on within the fitness room. Paedophiles invariably are clever people. They're extremely careful not to draw attention to themselves or raise suspicion when he did abuse, it was a one-to-one situation with no witnesses.
First year I was very happy. I was in the Welsh team and I hoped I might make the Great Britain team. Hickson kept saying it would help you swimming to have a rub down or a massage before a big competition.
All right, Jill, get undressed. It's all right. I won't watch.
So frightened. I managed to push him away from me with one arm. He made me take my swimming costume off, so by this time I was naked. I really thought he was going to rape me.
Okay, Jill, have a shower. Get rid of the oil. Best not to tell the others you've had a massage. Don't want them to think you've had preferential treatment.
Hickson's behaviour became more intimate and much more weird. I used to leave feeling sick and disgusted, and that I'd been used. That I'd served a purpose. In the end, I lost all respect for him and gave up swimming.
Well, Paul Hickson is an intelligent, articulate man who impressed a lot of people. He was at the absolute pinnacle of his career. He was the Olympic swimming team manager. He was regarded as one of the best, if not the best, swimming coach in the country. Any swimmer who had any swimming ambitions wanted him to be their coach. And I think each victim, when taken in isolation, thought that they would not be believed over and above Paul Hickson, and that's quite understandable in the circumstances.
But Brian Jenkins' hand was about to be forced. Paul Hickson had been given a new post as resident housemaster in charge of teenage girls boarding at Millfield.
Darling Brian, out with it.
We need to move more quickly, Bruce. Hickson's getting ready to start the new term as living housemaster in Millfield. He'll have contact with a large number of young girls. A bit like putting a lunatic in charge of asylum.
Well, it'll be high profile, all right. A sex scandal with an Olympic coach at an English public school. It ain't gonna go down at all well.
We can't risk it. Imagine if we delay until we've talked to all the girls, and in the meantime he assaults someone at Millfield.
Is there anything more serious than indecent assault?
Not at the moment. But Hickson suggested intercourse to some of the girls at Swansea. I get the feeling he's not content with just looking and touching.
So, what do you reckon?
Given his years of coaching, I think somewhere along the line he may have already raped someone. We've got to arrest him before the new term starts at Millfield.
All right, Tony, you wait here. We'll go in and Brian will make the arrest, all right?
Millfield is famous for its sporting achievements. That's why we were so pleased to get an Olympic coach like Mr. Hickson. He's very well respected.
The best in Britain.
Paul, these gentlemen are detectives from South Wales Police.
Yes. Hello, I'm Detective Inspector Shepherd, and this is Detective Sergeant Jenkins. We're from Swansea CID, and DS Jenkins here would very much appreciate a word with you. May we use your office, please?
I'm arresting you for indecently assaulting young females at Swansea University swimming complex. Do you wish to say anything? You're not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so, but whatever you say will be taken down in writing and may be given in evidence.
Oh my God, no. I mean, I would never do anything like that.
I'll get Tony.
Can I call my solicitor?
Yes.
Cyril, it's Paul Hickson. I've been arrested for indecent assault. Can someone meet me at,
Swansea Central.
Swansea Central.
Shall I?
Mr. Hickson, would you mind putting the golf club down, please?
Will you put the golf club down, please?
Sorry? Could one of your people drive my car to Swansea? So I got transport back.
Tom, can you sort that out?
Sure.
Right. Okay, ready to leave? I am D.S. Jenkins. The time is 15:25. Also present is D.I. Bruce Shepherd, Paul Hickson, and Mr. Henner's his lawyer. Right, Paul, you kept a record of each fitness test.
Yes, all properly filed. Look, you said that these rumours have been around since 1988. Well, that's plenty of time for people to discuss them, to get their stories together.
Now look, these children were totally committed to swimming. Their family and parents encouraged them. They would stand to lose a tremendous amount if they weren't actively participating at the very highest level. So for them to concoct stories about you would be possibly, in their minds, detrimental to that. And I believe that is why they haven't said anything prior to this.
Look, I've been dealing with people all my life, teaching in schools, working at universities, working with the British swimming team. I care about young people. I have never sexually assaulted anyone in my charge.
Really?
Okay. It may have been silly to do those tests without other people being present, but it was a semi-public room and anyone could wander in at any time. Well, I can see how some of my actions may be misconstrued by adolescent girls who talk amongst themselves. But my sole approach to them was as a coach swimmer. I wanted them to do well. I wanted to do everything possible to make them succeed.
That comes through a lot in the statements. Some of the girls hold you in very high esteem, even though they allege you committed these offences against them. One says she regretted losing you as a coach.
That's nice to hear. In 25 years, I have not, to my knowledge, indecently assaulted anyone.
Let's put it this way. If you had done what is alleged by Jill and Sophie, there's no way it would have been without your knowledge.
Independently, 7 girls have made statements that you indecently assaulted them. Do you have any comment to make about that?
No. Other than to say it isn't true.
Yes, sir.
We've got further witnesses to speak to, so we need a period of bail. 4 weeks?
Can you sign that, please? You're now being bailed to return here 3 o'clock p.m. on Friday the 3rd of October. We haven't got his car. I went to see the headmaster, and when we got back, his wife had gone off in it.
You what? How the hell am I supposed to get back to Millfield? You've done this deliberately.
All we've got is the girl's statements. Stay a word against Hickson's. Mind you, he goes to great lengths to say the fitness room was open to anyone. People could wander in and out freely.
Well, their statements are very similar. So similar, it would have been hard to make up. And they all mention him locking the door.
Paul Hickson says it's impossible to lock these doors, that the room is semi-public.
Oh, no, he's wrong. This is one of the few doors that can be locked from the inside as well as the outside. Some of the other offices, though, have had the locks on the inside of the door taken off because of the problem we have with burglars.
Burglars?
It's not a problem in this room, though, because, as you can see, the windows are a bit high off the ground for anyone to climb in.
Well, unless he's a 9-foot burglar, anyway.
If we think the windows are low enough for a burglar to get in, then we take the locks off the inside of the door, so once they're in the office, at least they can't get out. Does that make sense?
Well, I'm getting there. But the bottom line is that this door has always been lockable.
That's right.
At least now I know I can prove Hickson's a liar. Tony, I'm starting to have a good day. Let's check out the fitness test. As far as you know, there were no problems with the fitness test.
Well,
Well, what?
there was something.
Oh, yeah.
One of the students complained she'd been asked to undress for the fitness test. I spoke to Hickson, but he denied it. So I sent him a formal warning letter.
Do you have a copy of the letter?
Yes, I've got it here.
There's no mention of the woman's name.
No, she wanted to remain anonymous.
Hickson told us there'd never been a complaint against him. That woman's nothing to do with the swimming team.
Mr. Adicott, I'm going to have to make a list of the most likely names and addresses.
Of course.
One of the girls we interviewed said that when you were in the fitness room with her, you locked the door. I thought you told us the door couldn't be locked. People could wander in and out.
They took all the locks out. I couldn't have locked the door even if I wanted to.
I've been to the university and looked at the lock on that door. It works. You told us no one had ever complained about your behaviour during the fitness test.
No. I can't remember.
That is a formal warning letter. Quite a significant occurrence, I would have thought. Not the sort of thing you'd forget.
Yes, but you'd asked me about indecent assault, and this letter doesn't mention anything about indecent assault. Come to think of it, it doesn't even mention the girl's name. And in all my time at university and elsewhere, there was never any mention or allegation of indecent assault.
You were naked in the fitness room with her.
That was disputed.
So what was the allegation?
There was never any allegation put to me.
Our information is that it was indecency.
I can't remember.
And how did Stan Adicott respond to all this?
We were old friends. I think he was very embarrassed about having to raise it with me. And afterwards I was still uneasy about testing women. So Adicott insisted that they were all chaperoned. I think that he thought that would solve the problem.
Did you?
Did I what?
Think it would solve the problem? You will be charged with offences of indecent assault upon 7 young girls.
Then what?
I should imagine the case will go to Swansea Crown Court sometime next year.
Sorry. Got bogged down in a robbery case.
No, you're all right. You're not late.
Gentlemen, I'm afraid my client, Paul Hickson, has disappeared.
What?
He's not turned up.
Is Mrs. Hickson here?
No, I'm just going to call her.
Paul Hickson's disappeared.
I wish I'd never said anything. What's going to happen now he's gone?
Can I offer you a newspaper and a drink?
Yeah, have you got,
a copy of Le Mans.
Certainly.
And I'd like a whiskey and water, please.
Why did you allow him out on bail? You must have thought there might be a chance he'd do this.
All I can do is ask you to be patient. I know it hasn't been easy for you or your children, but you've come this far, and we'll do all we can to help you.
Does that mean we have to go through all this again? I don't think I can stand it.
An innocent man doesn't do this. We'll find him.
I had no reason to believe that he wasn't going to turn up. I don't think anyone did. He was the type of man that I thought would welcome the opportunity to answer the charges made against him. The witnesses were very upset, and I was anxious that maybe it would be some time before he was traced.
Single whiskey and a pint of lager, please. Hi, Brian. I heard about the fiasco in the courtroom. Any news?
None I'm prepared to share with you.
Oh, you don't change. Well, suit yourself. But you know, the Evening Post could help you catch this man.
There's nothing we can do. There's a court ban revealing his identity. My hands are tied. Technically, he's an innocent man.
Yeah. We can cover the story.
I'm really worried about him setting up somewhere else in the country. If we could get the publicity ban lifted.
Yeah?
I could use your help. He may be advertising in swimming and sporting magazines. You know, offering training, that sort of thing. Is there any way you could find out?
Yeah, I can try. But if you can get the ban lifted, I can keep the story going until we get this guy. It's up to you.
Thanks a lot. Keep the change.
The ban was eventually lifted, and following an appeal on Crimewatch UK, the case took on a new twist.
Hello, I'm Bruce Shepherd for the Crimewatch studio.
Oh, yes, they've phoned a few times. Here's your pass. Someone's on their way down to meet you now.
I just hope it's on long enough for people to recognise him.
With dark hair, which is greying and receding. We're now here with Detective Constable Jackie Haynes and Superintendent David Hatcher with this month's cases.
This is Paul Anthony Hickson, an international swimming coach who trained the British team for the 1988 Olympics in Seoul. South Wales Police would like to trace him in connection with a series of indecent assaults on young women in Swansea. He's 46 years old, 5'9", of slim athletic build, and has sandy-coloured hair. Last seen in September 1993 in Somerset. If you know where he is, please call us.
Do you recognise this man? Thames Valley Police are keen to speak to him about him.
Hello?
Bettina, it's Mother.
Yes, hello, Mother. What is it?
Your swimming coach in the 70s. I've just seen him on television.
When my mother phoned, my whole life flashed before my eyes, and the flashbacks were incredibly vivid and painful. I was extremely unwell. The man was a manipulator, a calculated, cold monster who knew what he was doing. If I sat down and started to think seriously about what I could have been, I could drive myself insane. I was the first Norfolk girl to ever get into a national squad. I then also broke English and British records, freestyle and butterfly. I also made the Moscow Olympic team, but I didn't want to be successful because it meant that someone who I regarded as very evil and very horrible was going to be successful as a result of my success. And so I was trapped. The sexual abuse took place from the ages of 12 up to 18 and a half. I couldn't actually really tell the police to begin with. My own head was swimming with all the trapped and repressed emotions that I had blocked out.
Bettina, Bettina?
No one's ever going to believe you. No one's ever going to believe you. No one's ever going to believe you. No one's ever going to believe you.
The man was so evil that he was actually able to twist my mind into believing that no one would believe me. I had to think clearly about what would be ahead, because I was petrified.
Who is it?
It's the police. We've come to see Bettina Doyle.
That's me. He sent you, hasn't he, to kill me?
Nobody sent us. We're police officers. You asked us to come round.
Why aren't you in uniform?
We're plainclothes officers. Let us in, you can see our ID cards.
No.
Bettina, we are police. We're here because you asked us to come.
The first thing that happened was when I was 13. Hickson had invited me to do some exercises at his house. I was a bit nervous. He told me his wife wasn't there. After some exercises, he told me to sit on his lap. I said I wasn't sure. But he was my coach. He raped me.
Okay, go on.
I kept on saying, not before my 14th birthday. But he did it anyway. Then Hickson suggested I went on the pill. I told him I was a bit young, but he said all the Russian swimmers were on the pill. I kept crying and breaking down, and I gave up swimming in 1982.
Bettina, I know it's difficult. Would you be able to say this in court?
I've lived with this for years and said nothing. I want to see him punished. See him get what he deserves.
The fact that it went on for such a long while, I sometimes even think myself, why did I allow that to go on? And why did I allow a man to consistently rape me?
Thank you, Russell.
The allegations that Bettina made were appalling and made it all the more important that he ought to be traced.
We've spoken to the Irish Swimming Association in Interpol, just in case he had a second passport.
And?
Nothing. The longer this goes on, Bruce, the less chance there is of us finding him. And the more chance there is that Mrs. Hickson will go and join him, wherever he is. We're still getting sightings. Someone reckons he's working in London as a cab driver. Mrs. Hickson is the key to this.
All right, Brian, we will try and speak to Mrs. Hickson. Then perhaps you can get on with that other case in London. I didn't become preoccupied with it, honestly. But I suppose you get a little bit despondent. There was information trickling in about his whereabouts from various sources at various times. I was always confident that he would surface somewhere. At that time, I had a number of inquiries that I had to do in London, and I found myself, whenever I was there, always looking at taxi drivers to see if I could see Paul Hickson. It was a long shot, but I just couldn't help doing it.
Hello? It's Jenkins, the Welsh Mountie.
Any leads on Hickson?
Yeah, an old lady from Llangollen. I saw him in the supermarket. The one where Elvis works on the checkout.
Oh, very funny. Just be serious, Russell, please.
Yeah, okay. One of your contacts has phoned in to say he's working in France.
Oh, yeah?
Fits in with your idea that he's living abroad.
Right. Okay, well, I'll speak to you on Thursday. Right. Bye.
Did you have anyone like that staying with you?
But that lead turned out to be a frustrating dead end. So too were the hundreds of other sightings across Britain.
Any ideas? Did you remember anybody like that who stayed here?
No, I don't. No.
Nobody at all?
No.
All right, thank you for your trouble, sir. Morning.
We're trying to trace this man. Have you seen him before?
No, sorry, I haven't.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Well, that's a lot then, Brian. Not a trace at all.
As the police became increasingly despondent, unexpected news came in from their colleagues in Norwich.
I finally find somebody who can corroborate Bettina Doyle's statement. Liz Phillips. I'm off to see her now.
Well, that'll keep South Wales happy.
I know you're nervous, Liz, but really there's nothing to worry about. We've had these allegations made against Paul Hickson, and I just wanted to know if you can remember anything about when he coached you. I know it's a long time ago, but...
He was always touching me. I didn't like it. I knew it wasn't right, but he was my coach, and I was supposed to trust him.
Okay, Liz, just tell me what happened.
He raped me, and worse. I knew it was wrong, but he was so respected by everyone. I thought it was supposed to happen. He'd do those things to me, hurt me, and then in the pool he'd ignore me. He'd take no notice of me. You're the first person I've spoken to about this. I was so totally influenced by Hickson. Swimming completely takes over your life. My father was so proud of me. And Hickson made me feel so dirty. But you see, when you get on with your coach, you believe that he can make you a better swimmer, so you don't do anything to stop that. Because you just want to be the best. That doesn't give him the right to do what he did. I thought he was only doing it to me. So I just went into a shell, pretended everything was all right. There was no one I could talk to.
I just wondered how long it was going to go on, how many other allegations were going to be made against him. From what source. I wasn't really surprised, but the nature and the seriousness of the allegations did surprise me.
I wondered if you could check a hotel register for me, please.
I don't think I ever gave up hope. There were various times of the year that sort of renewed hope. Certainly Christmas was a time that I expected, or would have expected, some contact with his family.
Could you do it as soon as possible, please, because it really is very urgent. Thank you. Tracy. Hello, DS Jenkins. Right, thank you. Russell, get your coat. We're going to Nottingham. I'll give you Welsh Mountie. One of my contacts spoke to someone who said they overheard Mrs. Hickson saying she was spending Christmas with her husband at Centre Parks.
Well, we've had these wild goose chases before, Sarge.
I know, so I got Nottingham Police to check. And there's a booking in the name of Hickson for the Christmas week.
If he's so clever, would he really make a reservation in his own name?
Not if he's clever, no. But Hickson's a very, very arrogant man. Dry white wine, please.
Same for me, please. So you think he'll be there?
Let's hope so, Russell. This could be our last chance.
Brian Jenkins knew that if this failed, the chances were he would be forced to give up the search for Paul Hickson.
Hi, DS Jenkins, Swansea CID. We believe a man of that description will be signing in with you tonight.
Right.
These two gentlemen will be sat on the settee there. And I'll leave you with a photograph. When he comes in, could you give him the nod for me?
Certainly, of course.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
If you want any more, just give me a shout.
Okay, cheers.
Sugar, sir?
Yeah, one, please.
Maybe we should just give up being your hours.
We'll give it another hour, then we go to bed for the night.
Sarge, he's here. He's upstairs now.
Where is she?
Round you on the left. There she is on the end.
That's not her. That's not Mrs. Hickson.
Yeah, it looks like her, though.
And where's he?
He's just sitting on the right.
That's lovely. That's your room key. Enjoy your stay. Merry Christmas.
And you.
Mr. Hickson, can you come with me, please?
Not in front of my daughter.
Okay, we'll just talk in the office. Paul Hickson, you are now under arrest for rape and serious sexual offences on Bettina Doyle, which are alleged to have occurred in 1976 in the Norwich area. Do you wish to say anything? You're not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so, but whatever you say will be taken down in writing and may be given in evidence.
God, no, not more. Can I see my wife?
Okay. Bring Mrs. Hickson in.
That was probably one of the most satisfying moments of my career. This man that have committed very, very serious offences, who thought that he could probably get away with it.
You could at least let me spend Christmas with my family, my wife. You bastard!
Okay, come on. Come on.
Paul Hickson has never shown any remorse for what he did. It was just as if these girls were his to do as he wanted, and to commit the indecent acts that he did was just a perk of his job.
It's been a long time, Paul. What have you been doing?
Teaching English in France.
So how's your French?
Damn sight better since I last saw you.
When you worried about coming back, you know, looking over your shoulder?
No, I thought you'd have better things to do than go looking for me.
I felt elated that something I had believed would happen was finally actually going to take place, and that Paul Hickson would know what British justice is.
I was confident that Paul Hickson would be found guilty. The evidence against him was good. The witnesses were good. They had come to court prepared to give evidence. It couldn't have been an easy decision for them to make, because for some of them it had happened sometime in the past.
Paul Anthony Hickson, I have to sentence you for a total of 15 offences, some of which are of a grievous sexual nature.
We will never, ever forget it. It's something that we realise our daughter has had to put up with. She's had nightmares over it. She will have to carry this with her for the rest of her life.
The parents had great ambitions for their children, which you thwarted and blighted by your actions. These were young, sensitive girls who were prepared to work as hard as any human being could to get to the top. It was their life. We heard it time and again. It was their life.
Paul Hickson was sentenced to 17 years in prison. On appeal, it was reduced to 15.
Paul Hickson was an articulate, intelligent, calculating, devious man who engineered situations to satisfy his own perverse needs. At the end of the day, the sentence that he had imposed justified the seriousness of the offences he had committed.
He had abused young girls for many, many years, Paul Hickson. If it hadn't come out, somebody somewhere would be suffering at this very moment. If somebody out there is experiencing this, I know it's hard, I know it's difficult, please tell someone. You will be believed. You will.